Let's open up a little bit of sacred space. Good morning, guys. They said let's go ahead. I'm seeing if they want us to do a temple or if we want to set a jed. Let's set a jed first. Set a jed. I've been playing with working with that blue energy at the bottom of the jed and kind of stirring it up and then letting everything come online. Setting all of those Shenkas for yourself. Oh, that's sweet. And they're like, yeah, because this is the one that matters here. You, here, present, waking state, you. The others will support you, but this is the one that matters. And with those now 4 Shenkas firmly set, drop on down into your inner earth temple. Ah. And just noticing if anything is different down there. If anything needs attention. Cool. Using that ladder to come back up into present body. And with an ong saw, we're going to go out through the crown. Into dreaming temple. Feeling the stars under your feet. Setting the jed. Oh, I heard. Come back down and come into heart. And turning on that heart Shenka, if it's not already, just to be that movement of light of the saw. Good. Opening your eyes or taking whatever moments you need. I'd love to hear your experiences in heart. Does it feel better? Maybe it never felt bad, but it just, yeah. It would neither be integration nor a nation if I did all the fucking talking. Yeah, do it, Sarah. I see you. I'm trying to unmute over there. Oh, hello? Hello?
Getting it together. Hi, everyone.
Hi, honey.
So good to see you all. Heart for me has been radical presence. And consciously choosing the joy in each moment. Even when some moments don't feel joyous, like I have the invitation to sit in that frequency of joy and lead from the front of heart instead of from the back. The
Would you tell us? Yeah, thanks. What's the difference between front and back?
Well, the front feels like more in alignment with that joyful vibration. And then in the back of heart for me has like the catalog of lessons. And I'm choosing to sit in the excitement and the anticipation and the nowness.
I'm
Not
just going to ping off of that for a second. Um, because the heart also does this thing. And as I looked at what my dreams had been, like I saw the theme, which I didn't recognize before. But the heart also sets in your field your ability to be in relationship and to be in love. So maybe be mindful of like clearing that field. And the way that you said it, Sarah, was like it's kind of at the back where it's the catalog, right? And it's so cute because I saw like pages that were just like turning. Old school Rolodex is what I saw back there. Cute. So recognize that like we need to override with a true frequency of joy, true frequency of beloved, this heart energy so that we may truly participate in something true, new, different.
it's requiring a level of conscious awareness um, that I haven't fully checked into before. It's made me realize how often I dissociate
Mm.
when I'm in joyful moments. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that frequency sometimes vibrates so hard, like and electrifying, like that in the past I've kind of
Yep.
sidestepped it.
Yep. And I love that you say that because yeah, you personally know that I had a very clear experience of that at one point last year. But I think of this Gay Hendricks line. He wrote the book The Big Leap, where he's like, we must constantly expand our capacity for joy. So in the heart, we're really doing that. And in doing that, as we were up in Dreaming Temple, just like setting things up, like I was quaking. My body and my frequency, my nervous system is still learning how to hold these vibrations. So just invite yourself into the expansion of rather than the discomfort or novelty of that might make your body feel uncomfortable. Sarah, you're doing such a good job listening, but I want to hear. I want to listen to you. Sorry. Mhm.
Well, I'm working with you. I participated last weekend in another group where we have been visiting the Pleiadian star system, which did you know is 444 light years away?
Come
Okay.
on.
Or maybe it's 44, but it's still my fours. But last weekend, well, the first weekend that we met was at the beginning of the month, and we actually like aligned with exactly where we are in our Shenka journey. And then last Sunday, I participated again, and we worked on heart and specifically clearing old Chiron templates, which was super fascinating. And another deep dive into the old patterns and recognizing what I've learned from those patterns, and now moving forward into something new. So it's a really exciting time, and that expansion is requiring a lot of breath. Like I feel it at sometimes get stuck right here, and then I have to consciously cue myself, like breathe in, send the breath to that point where you're hung, and then release it and let it go. But it's been beautiful. My daughter is beautifully aligning with the frequency that I'm resonating. So we've been in a softer space than we've been probably since she was in utero. um, and
Wow.
and back to the beloved of me, but then also to healing some of that love frequency that she picked up from my water, because my pregnancy was less than joyful. Um,
And
so yeah,
it's interesting that you say that because we know that in utero, the babes will pick up the breathing patterns of mom, but they're picking up our capacity to love too, huh?
she's in relationship with a sweetheart of a boy, and they're actually camping right now with his family. So that's exciting. This is the first weekend, you guys, that I've had alone to myself, and yeah, yeah, it feels surreal. I'm probably going to eat a lot of donut. Um,
Donuts, is that your choice? Is that what I heard?
yeah, donut. Um, and also witnessing her echo of the patterns that I have demonstrated to her, and now being able to step forward as like mother and see, okay, I programmed her. How can I come alongside her so that we can rewire this together and she has success and support in being in relationship, and with all of the kids too, you know, because this boy comes with kids. And like last night I learned how to play Dungeons and Dragons, you guys,
Are
with a
you
group.
addicted?
We're still in the process of formulating who the heck we are, but it was very clear for me that I know who I am, so this is an easy game. um, Yet stepping into the vulnerability of that relationship and community, um, in this role as sister, auntie, mentor, mama, it's a big deal, and I'm loving seeing how the ripples of my own expansion are also touching all of these kids,
Hmm.
in a non-pedophiliac way. That didn't come out of my mouth, right? But thanks for recording this. So glad this is recorded forever.
Forever. In
Um,
a non-pervy way.
yeah. Creation has also come online for me. I've had some serious blockages in having my creativity be able to fully flow up
Mm.
through Heart Center for a really long time. So there's been movement in that stagnancy.
Does that
And
look like sewing?
it does. It
Okay.
does. It does. Like, check it. Here's a sleeve. Here's a sleeve right here. Woo-woo. It's inside out, but check out this fabric. It's glittery.
It's dreamy.
You know. Yeah. And I went to the fabric store right before this call too. So I've got a trunk loaded full of fabric and all of my body doubles, and I'm getting ready to go out to the farm to spend the weekend with my mama
Hmm.
and throw some of this beautiful love her way as well. So yeah, and then like the divine beloved piece that's coming online inside of me. Um, there's a stillness in being with just me that
Hmm.
I've never known. There's a satisfaction with my own company that I love, and there is an excitement about who's to come.
Hmm.
Yeah, so much good is happening. I On a physical plane though, like my body has felt like I've been in a shipwreck. um I've been extremely like sore as the crunkiness has been breaking up, so I haven't been able to do anything besides yoga. um One day I thought I was going to go take a walk, but instead I laid down in my backyard and took a nap under a tree. So it very, very slow frequency of movement, is where I'm at. But I think that in recognizing the the way that I've treated my body as partner for the last lifetime, we're catching up and learning how to dance together. And I'm still addressing this relationship internally and externally, but the reconciliation is going really beautifully. Um, yeah. I'll also say that like there's this, like I'm ready for love, and yet like when you and I were talking earlier this week, like I'm loving me at the same time. So it's an and both. uh and yet I know that like I'm perfectly fine with whatever timing that the universe throws our way, but I also know that it's coming. So yeah, just happy to be with all of you. I'll be over here listening and probably sewing a sleeve.
Sorry. The body thing is interesting because until Sarah said it, I didn't realize that's what the fuck was going on. Anybody else have weird, heavy body stuff that's been happening?
Just very like okay with not doing as much. And I just like, slowing down and taking the time that I need to just relax. Whereas I usually will just like push through or be like, oh, I gotta go do the dishes, or my dishwasher I thought broke but didn't.
Yay!
But it was like a couple of days where like I like was doing some dishes but not all of them, and it was just like chaos for a little bit. And I just finished. Took me about an hour because it was like big stuff. But I was like, it would have bothered me a lot more in the past, and then I would have just like went into this like mean, like judgy place of myself. And this time I'm just like, whatever, my dishes aren't done, it's all good.
So being able to find that peace and stillness then with whatever is.
Yeah, and not to like push myself to like, because it felt like if I did too much, like I would break.
I get that. Hmm. And it's the
Yeah.
delight. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Erin.
Oh, I was just going to chime in, and I don't have any heaviness in heart. Not I'm not feeling it. I think Will was the big conquer for me, and it made heart really easy. Um, that said, it's where a lot of my pain has resided or been cataloged like that. But I guess I've realized up until now, that's where I've also been doing a lot of my work.
Mm.
And so it feels clean and good. And the relationship now with my husband, beloved, is very good. And so I'm spending just this really good breath of ease and fresh air here in heart, where I before just had immense anger and pain and loss and hurt. So it's just this really sweet spot for the moment, because I realized that whatever it is I've been calling my work up until now, and giving names and practice to it, it's been effective. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, and the journey to heart, as you said, like, yeah, Will, for me, is always a really big teacher. Um, the people who don't make it this far, I'm like, oh my God, this is the point. Being able to like bring this frequency online and feel this and expand into this. Because its very nature is healing.
Yeah, one of my favorite dreams to remember was a while ago, maybe within the last calendar year. But it was an entity grabbed my face in its hands and told me it could sense the love emanating from me. And I haven't really had any cool recollectable, dream moments that were so like a message like that. So I definitely appreciate that one over and over again.
I'm muting you over there, Max, but glad to see maybe.
Yeah, jump in, feel free.
No. It was
Oh,
a little pingy with its sound. So, hey, we having some issues over there in some heart spaces. Ha, 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 ha. You are precious and you are beloved, Aaron. And to have a being from another realm who just like swings in to remind you of that. Gorgeous. One of my favorite dreams so far during this Shenka, Taylor Hawkins stopped by in a dream, and it was not a casual "how do you do?" And I was like, "Well, this is fun, but do you need help? Like, are you trapped somewhere? Like, what's happening here? Are we just really hanky-pankying this thing up? Because he's very good with his hands. I'm sure you're surprised by that, but." Oh, Taylor. So I will check in on him again, but I will just like receive all of that. And then I will do my due diligence of seeing if there's a spirit who's trapped, who's trying to get some attention. But I think one of my favorite sayings from Nadia was like, the beloved is in everything. You can make anything your beloved. Have you been playing with that?
I feel like we're going to be seeing um, more individuals seeking out that beloved water,
Hmm.
maybe on this realm and in the dream realm.
Hmm.
And being discerning about how we help people find their refreshment might be something to consider, because we're well priestesses.
Hmm.
How do we serve our water? You ever been to Wall Drug? They advertise it for like 200 miles before you hit it in South Dakota or
How
North.
do we serve our water? Well, and in that way, who's allowed to drink from our well? Like the discernment around that, and I think all my dream space, other than, well, Taylor was probably one too, but all of my dream space has been cleaning up who drinks from my water. And I didn't recognize that till I sat down this morning and I was like, oh, here's the theme that's been going on of discernment, even in the dream state of like, gross, no, stop. And I will say, I've had maybe 4 dreams since I've written down maybe 4 dreams, which is not typical. I usually write down a lot more, but this experience of heart for me, it's been about lived experience. It's not about being a dream state. It's not about being an inner earth. Like it's all right here. I also did mushrooms last weekend on that beautiful portal of the Pleiadian opening. So I'm sure that only helped. But I touched frequencies of joy that I never have. And then, as you know, with any good plant medicine, continuing to integrate, as Sarah said, continuing to make a choice of that joy. And I think it's one of the reasons that I'm geeking over this Harry Styles album. Like, if that exists on this planet, I don't need to worry about anything. Like, the fact that that exists is a constant choice that I can make. Sure, I can pay attention to this pox thing. Fuck you guys. Sure, I can pay attention to, like, these other tragedies that are going on, but, like, I'm going to keep choosing to stay in a frequency that I know to be divine.
We are consciously creating reality by following that joy choice and allowing the other things to shed away. Like I'm barely even looking on social media at all, but when those things are coming through, I'm consciously like sending a seal of energy and then moving on or getting off of that, because the reality that I'm choosing to participate right now is one only joy can exist.
Yep. Well, and I think the reality is a choice. Yes. And we're here to create heaven on earth. You know, it's kind of the big ask of us. So we have to continually step out of that consensus reality, right? Which is what we did in the first couple of weeks, which was really fucking hard. And we're like, oh my God. Or for some of you, it wasn't hard at all. And you're like, yeah, cool. Reality is a choice, and reality is also our creation. And by us participating in this, other people will feel better just off of our essence as we embody the essence of Saw. And that essence of Saw, really good for self when it's in the inner earth temple, really good for self when it's in the dreaming temple. Huh. But the whole point of it is to be here in a body. Because the dreaming temple already is that, right? Like all that we have to do in the dreaming temple is like tap into that, because that's already the frequency exists, and bring it back. I think, yeah, thank you. Would you guys talk to me about that inner earth temple and your experience of heart there? What are we doing down there?
I took the beat and vibe to the MRSA vibe and broke that into breathing and audible chant. And that it just really harmonizes really well with each other. So, good experience. It's hard to put words on it, but finding the vocal and breath work with what resonates with me.
That's so cute. That's amazing. Yeah, the Mercef, I kind of forgot what a potent tool it is. So has anybody else been playing with Mercef at all or a lot?
Mercy, like mercy.
Oh,
I it's all okay. Have mercy.
interesting.
So I've been playing with Mercef a lot. And I like it because it sounds like mercy. And my garden is named Mercy. The first 3 letters of my name, the first letters of my husband's name.
Wait, you just
And
said husband. Okay, sorry.
I know it's still really weird. But yeah, no, just like using that tool has been really helpful because just like triggers will come up and then like I'll just be like, and I'm like, oh my God, Mercef. And I like say it over and over again until like, well, it usually takes like one, but it will like go down. It will come from here and go back down. I've been choosing to stay in the joy a lot more. Sarah and I had some good conversation about 4-leaf clovers. And I just got I bought myself a resin kit and I'm going to make some cool things. And I have talked about designing. And yeah, the 4-leaf clovers, they show up for me at mysterious times and they really showed up early this month and they were like everywhere. And
you guys want to give us a crash course in those 4-leaf clovers? Because Sarah was kind enough. Was it 2020 that you sent me some, Sarah? Because you had been collecting them. And Sarah and I didn't know each other well at that point in time, but I got this sweet little envelope with like all of these pressed 4-leaf clovers in it because she was finding so many. So yeah, significance, ladies, of that little ally.
I think we kind of were talking about it like you're in your joy, you're in your magic, and it's just showing you external magic.
Cool.
And just like following the flow. And like it's really crazy how, well, I know for Sarah too, like you'll just be walking and you'll just like look directly at one and you're like, oh shit. And then sometimes like if you're not in it, like and you're like searching for them, they're not gonna come to you. But if you are just like in your joy and you're outside and they just show up, they're just there. They're just there to support you.
It also feels like proof of transformation, like it's proof that something is changing, and not that 4-leaf clovers haven't existed before, but the frequency with which they're showing up is a direct response to us.
It's a restoration to childlike innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's like the veil, right? Like the veil, like
to the front of your heart. To the front of
it like wasn't there as a child, and then you like come back, and like when you're in that joy and in that feeling, it comes back. Right.
I also want to acknowledge the 4 chambers of the heart. Like, right when we see the 4, the 3 it might be that Triskeli energy, which is like earth and heaven, but the 4th, all of a sudden something. Oh, cool.
And then you can get into the 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hold on. I'm just gonna take a 4. I love you, Mimi. Mercef. Mercef. It's such yeah, the alchemy of it still fucking blows my mind because I'm like, oh my God, I had no clue. Hey Max, you want to chime in? Let us know how you're doing down there, honey bunny.
Hello, friends.
Hi, honey.
Oh, what do we want to talk about? I was just listening to everybody And the recording of the activation, I don't know if there's any more words I can add that hasn't been said. Oh, I know the one that definitely
I
worth
want your
repeating
experience.
is,
That's what can be
oh,
said that hasn't been said.
so first in the beginning of my experience, when I was trying to just show love to everybody, it wasn't being received how I want it to be received. And I just kind of decided that I shouldn't be trying to just share it with everybody at random. My personal relationships are much better, and I'm going to work on focusing that because I don't know what everybody else is going through, and maybe they're not able to receive the love I'm trying to just give out. I also I appreciate Mercef more than love, and just any other word of love. Just that four-letter L word doesn't. It has lost meaning because I love all things. I love walks on the beach. I love smoking weed. I love my wife, but it's just that word isn't enough for what I'm trying to find in my heart. I was trying to write a post for Mighty Networks, but I couldn't get across in text how serious I am saying, don't do what I did. But I'm glad you guys were finding four-leaf clovers because I have been finding mushrooms everywhere. I had already decided I'm not taking mushrooms until after Dream School's done because I don't want to go where I play with things I don't quite understand. However, last weekend, I went to the park with Shelby for the first time to work out outside. I start with a yoga routine and I'm doing my mat work and I'm looking at the grass and looking at the bugs and looking at this area around my mat. And then after almost when I was done, my father called. We talked for a couple minutes and then I was going to get to my workout. And as I lay my phone down, where I've already looked so many times, there's mushrooms there. And what I want to say is don't do what I did is they shouldn't have been growing there. I know mushroom foraging. I know the climate. I know where I'm at. That mushroom should not have been there for me. I would always tell myself, don't eat that. I went ahead and ate it. Had a great workout, finished with another yoga, had a great day with my wife. What else? This is awesome. Awesome.
Great. How are you doing with the loss of Jackson?
Oh, actually, cool. To segue into that. I don't know if anyone's ever going to be able to convince me that Jackson didn't die early because I did Dream School. I am just going to accept that that is what happened because of how things played out. It's fine. We're going to move on. Let's not talk about that here. On the topic of sickness and
Hold on. Why
health
does
and
your heart need to hold the responsibility of causation?
From my experiences and how powerful it has been and everything else, I don't know if he would have died at the same time if I was not doing Dream School.
I get that.
His timeline was just so.
That's it. You changed vibrations, and there was no place for him to upgrade with you, so he had to tap out. He couldn't have made the jump.
I'm fine with anything we need to say. There's plenty of time to unpack it through.
Just no blame and no shame is what I want your heart to be clear.
No blame, no shame. Yeah. And maybe he took it upon himself. I'm absolutely fine with that scenario, that he loved me as much as I loved him. And he knew that, oh, I'm getting old. I can do this for you. And maybe that's what it is. So with the way those things have played out, and then sickness in the heart, Shelby got a little sick. Let her body run the course. The body does amazing things. The immune system's wonderful. She's fine. She was fine then. It's just we weren't sure what was going on. So what I have said to her, when she comes around to dream school, how do we selfishly, how do I protect myself? Because I think she's at least as powerful, if not more powerful than me. But otherwise, how can I stop affecting other people so harshly? And not harshly, like if I killed my dog and I made my wife sick, like I need to bring this in and not spread it to others.
Or you're the catalyst for healing.
Yeah.
Wait, hold
The
on. Can you
alchemist
fucking
really
hear that,
works.
please? I need you to not go through mental, Mr. Max.
Yeah, I know.
You're bringing through a frequency that is pure and true and good, and anything that is sickness is going to have to shift so that this can come in. You are the healer, not the cause. Do you see everybody nodding, please? Sickness exists everywhere around us in this fucking world. When something that is pure and good comes in, that triggers to clear it so that they may meet us here. Mersef. So you didn't cause your wife's sickness. You caused some demon in your wife's body to hop the fuck out. Ongsa.
You cleared something from her.
Ongsa.
Oh, I feel I did. I definitely tried in dreams, in initiation. Yeah, I was trying to uncover what is this, and I never actually found out, but I was told that, oh, don't worry about this. Just, this is what's going to happen, and it kind of played out how I was told.
So can we not only learn from Max not to eat mushrooms that you don't know? The cleansing of suffering of those around you is a natural consequence of this, and one that should be celebrated. Sarah's seeing it with her daughter. I'm certainly seeing it with mine. You might be seeing it with the people closest to you in your field. I've got 2 friends that have cleared out since this whole thing began. I'm like, okay, not personal. You can't tell me 3 years ago that it's not personal, but I get it now. Cool. Alyssa, I don't feel like I have heard your voice anywhere near enough during dream school. How are you?
Oh, I was in Sweden for 3 weeks.
How was it?
So much. Yeah, speaking of heart, I had a really intense experience there. I met someone and I immediately felt like our hearts connected, but it was like a bunch of us silently, listening to music in a room. So I couldn't go turn over and be like, do you feel this shit? But that's what I wanted to do. And it just so happened to play out where like I was talking about getting a massage in Stockholm. Turns out he was a masseuse, and it ended up me getting a 3-hour massage the next day, and like very, very intense connection, which massage was like also energy work, a lot of stuff. So now I'm just like processing that. Some frustration with the fact that like the first connection I felt in 4 years is with someone who lives 4,000 miles away, but recognizing that how often I keep my heart guarded, like around people, like not around animals, no, not around trees, not around the ocean, mostly for myself, it's very open, but around people, I don't feel safe to have that connection. So we're finding spaces where it's opening, but it's fun, but also painful. It's so much.
Well, and letting your Mr. Sweden, like, let him open the gateways, let him open the pathways, right? Instead of attaching it to him, because if I was obsessed about Harry Styles, that would be problematic for me and for him. If I can like take the qualities and attributes, I'm like, hey, drop that in, and recognizing beloved exists, Alyssa.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I don't think anyone ever in my life has handled me with that much care, like ever, like not my parents, not when I was a child, like
fucking upgrade now, like that's now our base level of what we expect. Fuck yeah.
It's a high base, it's a high base level,
Are you
but it's
staying in
been
touch at
good.
all?
Oh, we talk every
Oh, great.
day.
Okay.
Yeah. He did pinky promise to visit me in Rhode Island. So when people break their promises to me, sometimes their cars blow up. So that's, I mean, I told him ahead of time. I told him ahead of time that if you lie to me or you break promises to me, like I'm not the one doing it, you know, I'm protected. Like don't, you know, don't
Yep, don't
lie,
fuck with me.
don't do any of that. But your car might blow up. You might lose your shit. The things you haven't been looking at might fuck up your life. Just don't lie to me. But yeah, it's been, I don't know, I'm just taking it day by day. But it did kind of open up like a new timeline for me where I'm like accepting that I'm going to quit my corporate job probably in a couple of years and like just travel. Like I'm just gonna open my own business and travel. Like why? I don't know why I would ever hold myself back from that.
And let's not put any time frame on it because that stopped existing too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pay off my student loans though, and that's gonna take 2 years.
Thank you. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Look at that
Yeah.
reality that you're creating for yourself. Let
No.
student loans be fucking erased, bitches.
All
I
right,
don't need
all
to
right.
pay it off and work my ass off. Fuck you guys. You sold me into debt slavery at fucking 18. You can suck your own soft cocks, you motherfuckers. Let them erase it. Let them
Yeah,
erase
you're
it.
right.
Let them
You're right.
erase it.
I have had really crazy experiences at work too. Like the person that I've had the most trouble with when I stopped paying attention to him, he left. His boss came, who runs like 10 manufacturing plants across the US. He apparently had a spiritual awakening a year ago, is a Catholic mystic who like we had just had all these crazy connections where I was like, I did not expect this in my like corporate medical device engineering job.
And
Uh,
can we, so instead of like, here's my tract of what I'm going to do that is
yeah.
responsible, that is what I think I need to do, I want you to come back into heart and you're like, if I'm creating this, then I can write it all, right? And then you call in a corporate Catholic mystic?
I have never in my life expected that.
Cool. And I think that's the beauty of this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't expect. And
Right.
so my reality is constantly challenged because I didn't know that. Wow. Hey, cool.
Yeah,
It's the four-leaf clover, Alyssa.
it is. Yeah. I was like preparing to just be like, all right, this is gonna be a rough day at the manufacturing plant. I'm gonna have to get this guy caught up. Instead, he's like crying about his homeless brother. I'm doing like work for him. It was pretty incredible actually.
Everybody is waking up. So allowing that through
Yeah.
your experience and through the field to happen more and more in corporate, that's really what's going to begin to change society, right? It's
Yeah.
not destroying and stopping corporate,
That's how I feel.
it's transmuting it into something else.
Yeah. So it's still serving. So I mean, the 2 years, it's not like a hard and fast. I'm just like kind of throwing it out there as like a potentiality. But like what I'm doing there is there's I feel I'm still meant to be there because of the ways that I am touching the people.
Got it.
It's just like this web that I can see all the people around me upgrading their realities.
And let's Mercef any stigma around having a corporate job that pays
Yeah.
you fucking well.
Yeah.
Mercef, yeah,
Right.
fucking stay there because you are igniting and awakening through your field every person there.
Yeah.
Mercef. Mercef. We need you guys there. It's not like everybody needs to start being healers professionally. Like that's gonna fuck up shit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mercef.
Yeah.
Alongside of corporate jobs that are cushy. Alongside.
It's not that bad, but I do think like it's not for like I've had so many people come up to me and be like, why are you like you are meant to do this other thing? And I'm like, I know, but listen, I still have shit to do right now. Like just let me I'm gonna do my thing.
And it's a yes and. Can't you do both?
I could.
Yeah. Mercef.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I'm asking and challenging you on is like the limitation of the stigma of the,
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to give that opportunity to evolve too. And you don't have to stay, but you don't have to apologize or put a time frame on how long you're there because there's
Yeah.
good things happening as long as you are there because we do become guardians and we do like people around us benefit.
Yeah. and all the people that I don't feel like dealing with leave the company. I'm actually pointing my attention away from this person who is making my life more difficult. And they're like, oh, I think I'm putting my notice in tomorrow. I'm like, thank you. That was very easy.
Good luck. It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's good. It's all good. It's all wavy. I'm like, I feel like a jellyfish. That's how I feel. Like there's no form. There's no real form. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know how to draw a jellyfish. Looks like a fucking pomegranate. I don't think that's it. But
No, there's a lot of different kinds, so I don't think you can do it wrong.
thank you for that. What was that, Mimi? Little baby jellyfish? Hold on.
Have you ever swam into like a just tiny baby jellyfish that are like this big and they're like little round?
And they're so
You
cute.
swim through it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of different ones. There's like these ones that come up a certain time after the moon in Hawaii, and they'll just be like these little tiny dots all on top, moving around.
I live by the bay, so there's a bunch of jellyfish out there right now. They're like the larger ones, but sometimes there's like the little tiny ones that have like the lights, whatever that is, all over them.
Hmm. And Alyssa, you were in Sweden for yoga retreat?
I was in Sweden because I had friends that I met in Spain in October invite me to like host a development yoga retreat, and then I just got to explore.
Fuck yeah.
And
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Cool. And it's the first finding of love here in Heart Shenka that I've heard of so far. So thank you for dropping that in. Yes. Thanks. Your single ladies say thank you. Single ladies and fellas say thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Destiny, I don't know that I've ever known you to be this quiet. So, hey girl, hey. You had such beautiful insights, offerings, teachings yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I received that. No, I was just over here absorbing everybody's stories. The first thing that happened to me in Heart Shenka was I had a friend break up last year. That was pretty hard on me. It was like a friend who I had known over Instagram for maybe like a year and a half until we met in person. And then once we met in person, it was like a hard and fast relationship where she ended up moving in with me about 2 months after we first hung out, like in person. And then she was here for about 5 months. And basically the day she left, there was like an explosion. And a week later, like the friendship ended. And I hadn't talked to her since. She blocked me immediately, all that kind of stuff. And over the course of, the months that have passed, there's been so many times where like I have genuinely like missed her, and I've been like, oh, like I truly have love for this human being. And last week, I think it might have been like the day of the Heart Shenka initiation or the day before, I logged on to a different profile on my Instagram that she hadn't blocked, and I saw somebody else and I was going to go search for somebody else, and her name was in the search. So I clicked on her profile, just curious to see how she was doing. And I saw, we're both into human design, and I saw a video that was like projector reflector dynamics. And so I was like, I know the likelihood is going to be brought up in this video, so let me click on it. So I did. And in it, I watched just like the first 20 minutes of it. I watched basically until she got to the spiel where she brought up our friendship. And in it, she brought some things up. One thing that was like my ultimate fear. And like one of the things, like not my ultimate fear, but like a really big fear that stops me from showing up and doing work and showing up and being me, because I've had this fear of not wanting to unintentionally convince somebody of something about themselves that wasn't true, right? Because I'm a reflector, because I have all of these amazing intuitive insights that I can see people in ways that they can't see themselves. And that's come back to bite me in the ass so many times. And I've been gaslit so many times. I've had this, like, I don't want to do that to somebody else. Right. And she said in there that I convinced her of things that were not true about herself. I reflected back her lowest potential, and I was not a clean mirror, and that I essentially made her gaslight herself into believing certain things. And so I was like doubly hit with, one, having this fear that I've had spoken out loud, lived in real life. Holy shit, this person who I genuinely care so much about and was only trying to help, only wanted to connect with her and had the best interest for her, is now telling me that I did all of these terrible things to her, which I know were not true. But it was a hit to that. And it was a hit because I'm like, I still genuinely love you. Like, I still genuinely want to be friends with you. And so to like have that happen, it like really kind of like threw me into a heartache for a day. But then it was really powerful. And I quickly saw the gift in it. And I quickly kind of like transmuted that fear and was like, wait a second, fuck no. I can't convince you of anything. And if I did convince you of something that wasn't true, it was because you wanted to believe it. You were like what I was saying yesterday, like, you're not in your own personal authority. I did my job of reflecting back to you that you were not in your own personal authority. Like, no matter what happened there, that's what I did. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I got to live that fear, face that fear, and own my magic and my beauty, and be like, no, like, that's not true. And so I got to process through that. And that was
gift
like,
for that to come up in heart and not somewhere else.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's really, I think that's been a huge aspect of me kind of pulling myself back and only like trickling myself out in my work, is because like I've told so many people, and people see it in friendships, like the work that I do is just who I am. I just happen to now start to get paid for it. And I now happen to have a system that I utilize that kind of enhances my natural gifts. And so to have that happen with somebody who I genuinely cared about, it was like, oh, first of all, this isn't as scary as I thought it was. And second of all, I can see that it's not true. I have the lived experience now to know that it's not true. And so I got to really like tap into like the intention of my heart, and knowing that as long as I'm leading from that place and space, that no matter what happens, no matter how the other person takes it, like Max, you were talking about, like trying to just love people. Like, I tried to just love her so hard, and she was not able to receive it. And then it ended up being weaponized back to me. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was able to accept that. And then from then, it's been just like a beautiful place where, like, the week before, I almost broke up with my boyfriend and didn't. We were able to work through it. And since then, I have felt the detachment of the codependency that was there, that I think was on both sides. And so now I'm like feeling like more in love with myself, more in love with him. I started finally going to the gym after not going to the gym in 4 years. So I'm like treating my body now with love. Like, I'm starting to really turn, my love is growing and expanding in ways where I'm finally able to have a clear space where I'm not reliant upon somebody else loving me to tell me it's okay, to tell me I'm enough, to tell me I'm right, to tell me whatever. And finally being like, no, it's time for me to love myself. And then to love other people exactly as they are, as that separate self, as opposed to always feeling like that whole trauma, like it came from trauma, right? As a young child, of like me really trying to be that codependent. So like the people who are abusing me don't keep abusing me even worse, or let me go or whatever. So that's been healed. And beyond that, I've just been feeling more in love with life and more joyful, more optimistic. I got approved to get my brand new Outback Wilderness that I manifested into existence. So I'm going to be getting a new vehicle, which is like symbolic in and of itself. You shared that Aubrey Marcus podcast with us in the group. I think it was the group, right? Or maybe it was Patreon, I don't remember. But I
It's funny
listened to
because
it.
Dina shared it in the group while I shared it on Patreon, not knowing that both of us were sharing the same thing. But
Okay.
yeah, that was
Yeah, so I listened to that podcast, and then listened to his recent episode where he talked about Arcadia, this event community, whatever that he's creating. And there's a like camping festival, spiritual like conference kind of thing that they're doing in July. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go. So I put in the application. I was like, all right, well, if I put the application in, like, I know it's right, and I get approved, I know it's right for me to go. So I did, I got approved. And then I sent some text messages to a few friends who I thought would be in alignment with it. And none of them were like, I can't go. And so I like briefly got thrown into like, cool. Now I'm reminded that I don't really have friends, or that like the friends that I do have, we don't have super deep connections with. Like, I don't have a best friend, like other than my boyfriend or me, like I don't have that best friend. And so I got really down of being like, well, I've never been to a festival before, so I don't know what to expect even with that. And I'm going to be around 1,000 people that I don't know. Do I really want to go by myself? But then I talked to Jordan, and Jordan's like, I'll go with you.
oh good.
So me and Jordan are going to go and get to experience that together and share that.
I
And
think
so,
also
yeah,
the gift of going to these things alone, like
yeah,
I am my beloved. I
yeah.
can fucking go by myself and have a great fucking time because my experience right now, I don't know outside of you guys what other humans can keep up with this level of joy. So cool. Yeah, I'll go to Neil Brennan by myself if Sarah Sears doesn't get her ass here. That's fine. Got it. Cool.
And then I did mushrooms last night.
Come on.
I was drinking a small amount of mushroom tea while I was on the call. Oh, no, after our call, while I was on the call with another reflector friend who lives here, who needed some support. And I didn't have any really experiences during it other than like super tapped in for 2 hours, like completely mushed his mind, helped reset him. But then I was laying in bed, or I went downstairs, and I looked in the mirror, and I looked at my reflection. And as I was looking at my reflection, I experienced myself as the goddess. Like, I knew myself as the ultimate goddess. And then I was like looking at my reflection going, this is an interesting skin suit that I chose to come and experience through. And then something that me and Jordan had talked about the other day, like, popped up again, and I started laughing. It was like, she was kind of reminding me of that, of like, have you ever been watching a movie or a TV show and watching it with the awareness that that's a set and those are actors, and then it completely starts to ruin it? So it's like, I looked in the mirror, realized this is a set, I'm an actor. And she, goddess, was like, it's a lot less fun that way, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so it was just this kind of like beautiful reminder of like, not trying to, because I've been in this space for so long in my life, of like not feeling the amount of love here that I know is possible, like deep in my core, and being so disappointed by humanity, and wanting to just like bounce, wanting to get the fuck out, and or wanting to just be like, basically like, make me the god in form so I can have all these powers, so I can like be, not be better than them, but just feel less alone or feel less small being here. And so it was like this beautiful realization, because I was tapped into that. I was tapped into that space of all knowing, of being able to really like process that and feel that deeply and embodied within me. But then to have her kind of just like gently remind me of like, yes, you can experience this, but it's also important to be here now and experience yourself in your role that you're playing, and experience it through that, not just try to tap in only to the like abyss of everything, because it takes you out of the movie. It takes you out of really being here and enjoying it and living it out. And like,
and we're only going to ascend through a body. So like, just doing that, or just seeing behind the curtain, just trying to evolve your inner earth self. No, we do it through this vessel, which is tricky.
Yeah. And then the last thing that happened was I finally laid down in bed, and I had had some dreams a few nights ago where there was a bunch of snakes in my dream. It was very strange. But I was laying in bed and I had smoked weed too to like help me go to sleep. And so I've got like the weed and mushrooms kind of like, mixing around in there. And I started to see a little bit of fractals, but the little bit of fractal that I started to see turned into this serpent, and its mouth opened. And then it was like a fractal of the mouth, just like the snake, like splitting. Essentially, it was like the mouth just kept opening. And I could feel and see these like rainbow supernovas going off inside of my body. And I felt like I was being pushed from the root down, like up into like a new, like I popped through another dimension. And I was like, is this what it feels like to ascend in a body? And it was like, yeah, like this is a part of it. And like my ego mind was like, wait, am I scared of this? And I was like, nah, it's cool. And then I got to this place where I was like feeling that like buzz, feeling that electricity, that like rainbow energy in my body, feeling like in that all-knowing space. And I just had this moment of like, because that's kind of what, like, I know I'm an oracle. I know I'm like tapped in such great ways, and I've wanted to keep expanding that to be of service in that way. And so I got to like experience that embodied in me. And it was like, do you think that you can you embrace this? Could you embrace this level of identity, this level of like beingness, of power, of beauty? But it wasn't ego. It was just like the goddess, but like, can you embody her? Can you embody me in this physical form? And can your ego and your heart and can all of the parts of you be okay with it? And I was like, fuck yeah, I could.
That's the invitation.
I was like, yeah, I could do
I
this.
hope so.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
trying.
I could do this. And then so it was nice because I kind of like, it felt like a fitting, right? It felt like I was like going in to be fitted to like make sure it all fit well, make sure there was no adjustments that needed to happen. And so between that realization coupled with the realization of, oh, there does need to be the balance there of, even if you're somebody who's super tapped in, who's super potent, super magical, and you're in service through that, to not be addicted to that service, or to not only live in that service, to also have the balance of pulling out of that and just being you, and just being here and experiencing the movie and experiencing your character.
Yep. And I love that you say that, because I'm working with a client right now. I think we're going to be doing a podcast eventually, but like that's kind of been the trick that she found herself in and didn't know she was in, which was, it was the divine that was like stealing every peak experience of hers. And in that there was an entity that was feeding off of it, instead of like, the human gets to experience that joy. The human gets to expand. I don't need to call in that thing every time. Can I wear it?
Yeah. It was like two sides of the same coin, and being able to flip back and forth. And then I have this Pleiadian, this book right here. I don't know if anybody's ever read it. It's called Earth, Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library. But the chapter that I read this morning was talking about your light body and building it, and basically how you get to the point where your nervous system has gotten to the point where you can hold that increased level of vibration, that electrical charge, and then you essentially just become a radio where you can tune it back and forth between those two states that I was just talking about. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Okay. Like, thanks. I wrote this book for me to read now, to reaffirm what was in my head. Now I'm reading it. Now I got it. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Amazing.
Yeah.
Alyssa literally got a 4,000-mile chest expansion.
Maybe more than chest. We didn't get all the details, but
You guys, like this is space for the experience to happen.
Oh, thank you.
And
you're getting them with 4,000 light years? Like, what's your 4,000 miles and 44 light years? Interesting.
I'm just downloading a lot over here. Thanks for sharing. Destiny, I would totally go to that whole festival by myself and make like 1,000 new friends, because that's how I roll.
I'm just historically not the person that, like, I'm usually the observer first. not necessarily the person who's just like super bubbly and super like, oh my God, let's be friends immediately. Like I'm usually kind of the observer on the outside first. And I've never been to a festival, and it's like in a part of a state that I've also never been to. So I was like, do I want to do that? But my boyfriend's gonna go with me now, which is beautiful because we get to kind of like then share in that magic. And he's never been to a festival, and Mateus DeStefano is gonna be there. Like it's gonna be super cool. So yeah,
It's insane. I've been watching it.
yeah.
You're going to like move into a completely different layer of lasagna after that.
Yeah.
When is it?
July 14th through the 18th in Alpine, Wyoming.
After Dream School closes.
Fascinating. Right after.
Yeah, when's the last day of Dream School again? Roughly? Somewhere around there.
July 17th.
I think 18th is our last integration nation, so that would probably be like a July 8th is our last Crown Shenka initiation.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Something like that. And we will say here that we have one activation that we need to do today. We will be taking the next week off. So typically when we close here, I'm like, and now be on break. I don't know. I'm choosing to stay in Heart for a little bit while longer before we move up. Throat stuff started downloading in this morning, I think. And I was like, what? And I'm not ready yet for you, Throat. Thank you so much. Hold up. I'm going to do Heart a little bit longer. But I want us to...
Can you tell me where you get those and what the hell they're called? Because I really like them.
Oh yeah, these are Koshi bells.
Okay, Koshi bells.
Koshi, Koshi. You can buy them individually, or there's a set of 4, so they each have a different element to them.
Ooh.
So we're going to be using fire today because we're going to be moving the Seker from one to the other.
Also, just with Throat coming in soon, like every single Shenka that we've done, I've had my initiation start like a day or 2 days before. So,
well, because I started
normal.
usually on the Sunday after this. So, like, typically I would start it tomorrow. So, yeah, your little fucking reflector, just tap it into the projector. Cute. Okay, you guys. So, I don't think anybody's driving, but for anybody who's listening later, let's not. So we give our body, hearts, and minds permission to experience the sacred now in form. Coming into present self with that Jed. Ooh, yeah. And with each of those containers set, or setting them as we go, we're going to begin... Oh, we can begin there. We're going to begin in the void with oosh. 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 Coming up and recognizing the juncture into the da. 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 Ooh. Da. 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 Good, and rising up into the waters of Mu. 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 Allowing water and fire with Ket. 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 And from the fire into the heart with Sa. 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 And giving permission now for that Sa, which has no container, to fill up your whole body. To clear out and to move anything that might be challenged or stuck. Sa. 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 And now with an ong sa. Ong sa. Ong sa. Ong sa. As I invite you now with that energy to pierce out through the top of skull. Ong sa. Creating that torus field of love, of sa around you. Ong sa, with each peak experience of love, of joy, of truth, of expansion, of authenticity, of divinity. Ong sa. Ong sa. Ong sa. Ong sa. Ong sa. And perhaps sending out one of those rays from your heart to someone who's in need. Not giving it to them, but just offering it to their field as a balm. Ong sa. Ooh. Ong sa. Ooh, ong sa. And receiving whatever you need now from the saw. Inviting the beloved to express through you as you. And allowing that peace to penetrate all of you. That presence as witness, as love, as lover. And open your eyes when you're ready. Anything that wants to be shared? Max, I see you smiling. That's nice. Hey. Hey.
So I appreciate your re-recording of the activation.
Yeah, me too.
Because I could have never recreated what happened that day. And so I would have always been seeking it out. So during that activation, I wasn't hearing you, and I don't think anybody was. So I went to the temples, the Mayan temples, and when we were chanting, I was hearing the echoes bouncing off the stone. And then when as your words started coming clearer near the end of it, I started having emails pop in, just ding, ding, ding. I was like, damn it, now it's on my side. The technical difficulties, fine, whatever. And then when I came down, like the stucco on the walls was doing like the mushroom moving, and it was just so good. And those emails coming through were for our trip in August to Playa del Carmen. So I did that.
Cool. Congratulations.
And then you had the Eek Rose play afterwards. I'm like, Andy's just fucking with me. Like,
It's so cool to recognize it's everywhere, right? And the Hathors, Angie and I did a session yesterday, and the Hathors were very loud. And yes, they are. Hathor is embodied in one way, but the Hathors, being the Venusian beings, oh, hey, it's all the same. It's all the same. I worked with several galactic councils on that Pleiadian mushroom night. And one of them was scolding me. They're like, "You haven't been here for lifetimes." And I'm like, "Hold the fuck up. Like, things have been going on down here, y'all." It was interesting, though, because that part of the evening, it was very much like there was work to be done. Yeah, I get that at times. It's all the same. I think I would be curious of how you have noticed those with unbonded hearts since your initiation. Do you see it different? Do you feel them different? Do you notice? Because it came up a couple times today for us of like, yeah, some people can't fucking receive your love. It's real. And certainly with the shootings, yeah, there's a young man with an unbonded heart.
One thing that's been coming into my awareness a lot that I think ties into this has been this concept around love and why it's so hard for us to accept it. And this kind of came in after that mushroom ceremony that I actually brought up in our call last night, which, by the way, I pulled the human design chart for it, and the life's work of it, the keywords were the invisible fixers. And I had invisible beings come and fix me. So that was fucking wild. But during that, like after that, I've never ever been a religious person, like denied it at 4 years old. But since then, there's been a lot of like creation myth kind of like energy that has come into my awareness. And one thing that I have seen and that has been pinging in me over and over again, because during that ceremony, I was blasted and infused with such beautiful and fucking intense, heart weeping, universal love beyond anything that I've ever experienced or even seen on this physical plane. And was like, oh, I get it. Because while I felt that, I was simultaneously feeling such intense love. But because the level of love was so intense, I was equally met with the memory and visceral realization that I've never experienced that here, and that I've actually experienced the polar opposite of it. And so it was like, it really made me realize that I think so many people are afraid to let love in because it does push up against that fear. It pushes up against the lack of love that they've always felt and have kind of become used to. That's become their baseline. That's become what they feel like they can accept or have to accept or are only able to accept. And so through that, the whole like fall from heaven, the whole fall from Eden, fall from grace kind of aspect has come in to where I feel like there's a part of our psyche that almost doesn't feel deserving of that because we were separated from it.
Yeah, thanks. So it triggers
And
the separation instead of, huh?
yeah, like from the ultimate goddess.
Yeah.
And like then I was like, oh fuck, now my mom wounds, like the reason why my mother wounds were so much worse than my physically abusive alcoholic father wounds were so much worse, even though like they shouldn't have been logically. Her betrayal as my mother in this lifetime hurt me so much more than somebody who physically abused me and had me in fear for that long. And I was always so curious as to why the mother wound was so fucking deep and dense and hurt so bad. And then when I felt that and realized that, I was like, oh, well, if source actually isn't a masculine figure, if it's the ultimate goddess, like a fucking course, like all of life comes from the womb of the feminine, if she is the ultimate, if she is my creator, if she is the womb in which I came from, and
Yep.
I've been discarded and we have been enclosed, encapsulated, and cut off from the rest of the universe to deal with our shit, to figure our shit out so we don't infect the rest of our children, of course we're going to feel lost and dejected and disowned. And so, of course, we can't accept love when it's coming from another form of her.
Right. It's so good.
Oh, wait, I just want to jump in on that. So I went away with one of my friends and her 4-year-old daughter. I have a really hard time sleeping anywhere with people in general. And like witnessing their relationship and how attached they are to each other, and just like thinking about my own mother. And I went to sleep, and I haven't been dreaming as much in Heart, but but that's another story. And so that night I like woke up right before, and like our rooms were really close to each other, and I woke up and I heard her daughter like cry out in the middle of the night. And then I went back to sleep. Like 2 hours later, I couldn't sleep. And I had like a nightmare, and it was with my mother, and she's going, "I'm not your mother. Like, I might be your mother in this time, but I'm not your mother." And it was like so fucking traumatizing to that point of like the inside of me. And I'm like, all right. So then I like, and when I usually have nightmares like that, I'm like, I jump right back into my body as quick as possible. And I'm like, all right, I'm done here. And then I'm like, just thinking about it. And I'm like, well, that is true. Like, she is my mother in this life. And she just walked by. And, but it was more of like, her like being of like talking about like that mother of all of us like isn't, you know what I mean, like it's in you almost. And it's like, just like we've been saying, like the beloved, you have to find it within yourself. And as soon as you find it within yourself, like Alyssa, your heart opens, and then someone else's like comes in. And it's just been kind of like amazing to witness that, because like if I had that nightmare couple months ago or a year ago, it would have devastated me for a long time, because it was just thinking about it is like makes my heart and my chest kind of like go, because my mom's like one of my best friends. So yeah, just thought I'd hop in and say that. But after the next day, we had a wonderful day, and her daughter really wanted to go. We're upstate, and her daughter wanted to go swimming, and we went to this waterfall. And I, for the first time, wasn't in the fear mode of like, oh, I'm gonna slip, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna make a wrong step, because I was like caring for my friend's like daughter. And just to like be in that bliss state and like be able to like completely receive at that moment and like show this little girl so much joy. It was so exciting. It was like so powerful to have that moment with her. And like, because my friend was up there because she's doing a yoga retreat at this place that we went to, and she was like off taking pictures, and we're just like spending these moments, and I'm like teaching her how to walk in a waterfall, and it was cool. Little Mimi was very excited.
Well, and as you say that, like the expansions of joy, the unexpected places of joy, and it's cute. I stepped away to get water. On my desk, on my side table in my room, I have a picture of my best friend Joy. Joy sent me a message this week. She's in New York City. We've been besties since I was 14. She got us Harry Styles tickets in New York, and I'm like, what the fuck? And Joy's like, who's Harry Styles? And I'm like, the fact that you loved me enough to spend $4,000 on tickets to Harry Styles, wow. Expansions of joy. Expansions of joy. Joy. So yeah, hearing you talk about that, Mimi, and like the joy and like feeling safe and walking and like new thank you. $4,000 was not on 2 tickets. That would be fucking obscene. It was on 8 tickets, which is still pretty gross. So let's be real. But yeah, she's like, who's Harry Styles? Wow. Okay, let's see you in New York. Erin, can I get maybe like a full body? Like, I keep seeing your shirt that is so, like, you look beautiful today, and the shirt is gorgeous. Have you been standing this whole time? You have a stand-up desk? This is how you do this thing?
Yes, I stand at my desk. I've got a adjustable desk, and I've got a little rocking board that I can opt to stand on, and I just prefer to be upright.
But yeah, I just see your shirt and I'm like, you look adorable.
So this is a smart, well, it's so old, but it's one of my favorites. And it's just a little wool
Can I get
sweater.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, you're so cute. And I've been wearing my purple plate, just that I picked up as you see that it somehow just came in and like, yep, I got to get one of those. And that's right on my heart. And it just reminds me to respect my will and enjoy my heart and put good energy in all around. I really enjoy this.
As you say that on the heart, let me go grab it and I'll show you guys. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Just shut up.
But I think I have to call my mom now. Everybody's got the mom energy brought up.
Definitely do it.
Yeah, live in Washington State and she's in Wisconsin, and we speak every so often, but I long to give her a real hug. Aww. Soon we'll travel.
So like this project that I'm doing is it's really challenging me, and interestingly enough, like part of my Chiron wounding is this creativity piece and the nurturing and like being juicy. And my Chiron is in Taurus, which is my mother's sign. My daughter's Chiron is in Aquarius, which is my sign. And when I was first starting this project, like I know that I can do it. And yet like I'm struggling. But the only place that I feel safe to do it is with my mom. And my mom and I have such a fractured relationship, which you really wouldn't know from the outside. Like she tries so hard to love me in big ways, and I back away from her, and have for probably close to 20 years or more, because of betrayals that she didn't know. She was betraying me basically at the time as I was like growing and coming of age and becoming a woman. Like her silence was a betrayal. And so I'm healing it, you guys. Like I'm spending time with my mom intentionally, and she is a master engineer. Like my mother is a musician, so she hears the math of music. So we will be listening to her favorites, and she will be dissecting them mathematically, and I'll be trying to download all of that math. But she is helping me literally create a new universe and repair an old one.
And with the weaving, like with threads and the fabrics and the weaving. Mm-hmm.
You're making me cry over here, girl. This is awesome.
Yeah. And it's been COVID like was when it really started to happen. Those 4-leaf clovers that I found were at my mom and dad's house. So the restoration of that inner child, which we did together, and then now the beloved, and going back to the goddess, like, and the priestess lineage. Like it's all coming together now. And Max, I wanted to say I've been finding new mushrooms everywhere too. I think that the mycelial network is waking up to like fast talk to each other. My yard typically does not have mushrooms, but my whole yard right now is covered in different species. I am not eating them. Um, nobody can handle me on weed, let alone mushrooms. So I only do shrooms by myself. But yeah, it's been super
Can I jump into that shrooms by myself? Because I think of you sometimes. And I was broken up with shrooms for a couple of years because we had some, it showed me some things prior to 2020 that I didn't know it was showing me that felt scary. So shrooms on my own has not been part of my reality until last weekend. And last weekend, I was so grateful because I was like, like I was able to do all of the hiccous, and like I was able to have that type of a relationship and engagement with the netters that in ceremonial spaces I would never do. Like I would never begin chanting our hiccous. I would never like share that. In the many times that I've done mushrooms, I've never had a netter come in. I've never had an Egyptian deity show themselves. But last week, holy shit, like they didn't stop. So being able to just work with those frequencies and putting them in my field differently, like I was thinking of you a lot, Sarah, of like, I can only do mushrooms alone. I'm like, ooh. But I also say like, I didn't just want to be alone. I'm like, what if we got together and did that? Like, what if
Remember how I said something about us going up to Lost Lake to my magical fairy mountain and doing mushrooms? The invitation is open to anybody who wants to come prior to the end of September before it gets too cold. Please come and do mushrooms with me and Andy on a magical mountain.
We've also got the Egypt exhibit that will be here until September.
Ooh.
I'll wear fairy wings. It'll be perfect.
It'll be perfect.
Shit will get
The
really weird.
amount of change from the mushrooms here has been crazy too. Like the mushrooms, I used to get a lot of fairy rings, so the circular rings, like huge ones on the lawn. And this year, hardly any on the lawn. And last night I'm walking and I never have the flashlight on, and I had the flashlight on and I'm like, where the fuck are the mushrooms? And then I stopped looking for them, and they were like closer to my garden. And I'm like in a space that they're not normally in. And then I went through my garden again because I saw there was like a row, and there's just like, it just got like annihilated. There's like so many of them in the garden. And I'm like, this is weird. And then the other day I was sitting out and I found the tiniest littlest baby mushroom. I'm like, what do you do? Like, it was just in spaces that I've never seen them. They're like moving shit around.
Well, and recognize the mycelial is responding to us, right? Because anytime that we see the mushroom, my understanding, and I'm not like Max may be our expert here, but like it's the flower. That's not the thing. It's just like poking its head up to be like, hey. So this other thing that's underneath us is always symbiotic with us. And as we are changing and our vibration is changing, they're responding to that.
So the mushroom is the fruit, kind of like, yes, like cannabis is the flower, but yeah, it's the fruit of the mycelium network. I probably know more about growing mushrooms than I do about growing weed. So if anybody wants to know or should probably just be growing their own, let me know. I can help you out. But during my activations, I have been trying to breathe in whatever is up there and down through the mycelium network.
Cool.
And
so let's also recognize when we're in that inner earth temple, maybe we just want to actively remember to engage with that mycelial network, because that is inner earth temple. Like you are carried and woven within that web down there, always. I'm sorry if that hasn't been explicit, but you've obviously felt it. That is us as little mushy babies, little mycelial babies down there. Of course, they're responding to us.
And recently, my uncle someone who inspired me to be painting. I sent him a couple of mushroom paintings I did, and his friend he just got into mushrooms, and his friend who taught him how to forage, he wants me to do a painting for them. And he's like, he just gave me like a painting, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna buy it. I'm like, you don't have to buy it. I just want to give someone else one of my mushy paintings.
God, they're so sweet. Little mushies. What I went to the other room to get before I got distracted by Joy. Well, not distracted by Joy, excuse me. I'm never distracted by Joy. But this is a Weechole piece. So the Weecholes do these really beautiful beaded works. This piece, it's broken, but whenever it's not broken, it go and Erin, you were the one who made me think of it. Like, it goes right over heart. So when you are, because the Weechole people are very, let me see if I can say it the right way. The Weechole, as many of the natives do, use lots of plant medicines. Those native shamanic peoples are way into sorcery. Like, it's all about like the most power. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And we're going to do this. It's very combative. It's not what we do up here. Like, we're just doing mushrooms for joy. They're not doing that down there. They're doing it for fucking power over and over. So if you so they would weave these things that literally protect a heart and protect a body. The curanderas, whenever they're doing any of their healing, they'll usually wear obsidian in a navel and wrap their bellies with a red wrap. So their recognition of the permeability and the porousness of the chakras and Shenkas, not a fucking joke. We need to protect these things. So Erin, thank you for showing us that, because like, that's exactly it, right? It's not us being like, thank you. Let me say this. It's not us being naive. It's not us being fearful. It's us being fucking good shamans, of recognizing that, like, of course these things are in the world, and why I might not be the one throwing curses, it doesn't mean somebody's not going to see my power and throw some shit at me. I'm aware of that shit. So the protection of your Shenkas, the protection of your sacred. Good practices. And I also choose not to engage in a world where I need like a lot of protection around me. I let my joy be my protection. I'm like, if you can penetrate through this field of joy, good fucking luck to you. But that, I think, is what I've been using as my quote unquote battle armor. Let my joy be my armor. Let my joy be the thing that, like, well, thank you. Joy and power can't take me down. Got it.
Well, and realizing that love is also power. That same mushroom trip that I was talking about, both me and Jordan saw this like big black kind of like misty entity come in, and you know, we had the beings, and my body had been taken over by an octopus being, so like we had other beings that were there that were fine. The octopus thing. And then this black kind of like mist comes from like where our bathroom / crawl space is. And when it first came in, for a second, I was like, and got like a little, like a tinge like of that like fear came in. And then I was like, wait a second. No. All I have to do is just love it and just like send it away. And the moment I like changed my lens from a fear to love and was just like, hi, I love you. Thanks so much for coming. Like, this is just not your party. So sorry. And like sent it on its way. Like, it bounced, it left. And it was so cool to see that so viscerally, that like all you got to do is love it. Like, fear is just the opposite of love. So you just infuse it with love and then it dissipates. It's gone.
Well, and you
or
don't
it just
have
runs
to
away.
it, right? Like, you just really like love it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't touch you.
Yeah.
I work with an octopus god.
Me too. I call it my octopus.
He's actually like my main man.
If you've never seen the documentary My Octopus Friend, I think is what it's called. It is Octopus Teacher, the most heart melting freaking documentary that was so amazing. And I think I watched that after I had that experience. And this octopus being took over my body, trickster energy, so trickster, but took over my body and like moved my arm in such an unnatural way, like a tentacle, and then like reached up and was like grabbing my little mom's stomach and was like mushing on it, and I could hear it like giggling like, oh, this is what a body's like, this is so cool, and was just like having its heyday with me, sticking my tongue out at me, making me spill water on myself, making me say weird things, do weird faces. It was the cutest fucking thing ever.
Has anyone else seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? Has everybody seen it already? Like, it's a must. Erin, you have?
What is it?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's a movie or a documentary?
I thought you were being metaphorical.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was like. Wait,
well,
like,
I'm like, yes.
that's kind of the beauty of it. Thank you, Alyssa, for saying yes and twice, because I think everybody, yeah, like, this is not a soft recommendation. This is a let's call it a soft requirement. Everything Everywhere All at Once, because it's exactly it's all of what we do. Yes. I know I might go again. I haven't taken my daughter yet. She's like, you saw it without me? And I was like, yeah. I kept asking if you wanted to go, and you're like, oh. But I think that's just what 14-year-olds sound like, right? Oh.
I see it's rated R. Is it like super inappropriate?
For your daughter, yes.
Okay.
There are graphics and visuals in there that, and let's just say, like, there's no way to explain this. I heard somebody on Rogan the other day explain it a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty good description. But in my mind, like, to explain any of it, like, it just sounds like such a fucking drug trip of multi-realities that, like, it's not worth it. Just go. Just watch it. Just watch it. And if you've got any mother wound stuff, just watch it. It's profound. It's beautiful. It is to modern cinema what the first Matrix was, where you're like, they just did what? Same type of mind blow. Cool. And I think it was a Chinese woman. Was it a Chinese woman who directed it? I don't know enough, but yep. Yep. Bringing our experiences into this realm is essentially what that movie does. Oh, huh. It's amazing. Unbonded heart. The heart is authentic, and I think that's just one of the pieces that I want you to really maybe connect the dots on, because we've said things like it's safe, and I feel like the heart allows us to be authentic and to recognize there's never anything wrong with us, and there's never been anything wrong with us. Safe to be us. Safe to be you. That's what the heart is asking, allowing, pulsating with you on. Because nobody like you exists in all the galaxies. Nobody's got your stories and life history and experiences and talents and gifts and fingers and toenails. Like, come the fuck on. Only you. And in a society that has constantly told us it's not okay to be us, and now we have society that's revolting back in weird ways. We've seen that a few times. We just keep showing up, and we're like, hey, yeah, I got a seat at the fucking table too. Yep. And that when my light shows up in the world benefits. That was a big teaching on mushrooms of like, I've put more love into this world than I have bad things, right? I have a tendency to think of all of the bad things that I've done and like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And they're like, you've put more love in than you have anything else. I'm like, oh, I have. Oh, okay. So I think just for yourself, like allowing some of that to permeate through as well. It was in that Aubrey Marcus podcast with Blue where he was talking about the Gnostics or the Kabbalistic practices. At the end of every day, what did you do? Great. instead of this idea of confessional and like, what did I do wrong and what could I do better? What did you do that was great today? And I kind of like that as an invitation because my own ego and insecurities already go into what I've done wrong. I've spent plenty of fucking time there. Can I instead invoke this exercise of like, what did you do right? Oh, I did a lot right. And where I did wrong, may I love myself enough so that I learned and can do it better next time. Long saw. I'm gonna go play in my yard now. Anything else that wants to be shared or witnessed or loved on today? Okay. Week off, and then we'll jump back on our Wednesday. But I'm not going there yet, so you take this week off wherever you'd like to go. Sarah, you want to pull a card for us before we go? No? Was that too much?
I've been pulling cards the whole time.
Oh, have you? Anything?
Mm-hmm. Big picture energy. The Pleiadians came through. Cracked open, surrender to the alchemy of life, Eliza. Fall into my arms, the extremes of life and surrender. Whale and orca elders, share your song, dive deep. You've got the love. And then that looks like ancestral healing to me. Baby steps, follow your intuition. And wait, things are being woven. Look at her just floating. Yeah, you guys. It's online.
I've watched a few people this week, nobody here, but like there seems to be this, it showed up yesterday on our Patreon live as well. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm supposed to do something next. And I think that's just ego. Like, when you're supposed to do something, you'll know what it is. You trying to figure out what it is problematic. Sarah?
The Emerald Tablet activation, cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting, and it's green, heart chakra. It's got the caduceus with the divine union and loud and clear.
Ooh, ooh, whoa. Ooh, whoa. There's nothing to do until it's ready to go. Sit in the discomfort, learn from it. Don't judge it. Because that's just an ego unraveling, because when it's go time, you'll be ready. If you're anxious about not doing the right thing now, well, then that's your teacher. Hard to be patient. Yeah. And yet, we've been waiting lifetimes. We've been waiting. And when we're in this field of the beloved, I don't feel like I'm waiting for anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll go to that fucking music festival by myself, no problem. I went and saw everything all at once by myself, and my daughter's like, you went by yourself? Of course I fucking did. I want to see the movie. Yeah. I'm awesome company. I'm a great date. And I remember Sarah saying it to me one time too, because I had gone out somewhere by myself. And Sarah's like, ooh, and your date got you home exactly when you wanted to. And I was like, oh, yeah, like there was no negotiating and yeah, my date got me home safe exactly when I wanted to go home and into bed. And yes, we did. Yes, we did.
I think there's a deep invitation, something that I've also been feeling, and a lot of I've talked to some other reflectors that have also been feeling this too, is like, because we kind of feel like we're in that void right now. And I think a lot of us can tell that that next thing is kind of just around the corner, but we're not in it yet. We don't know it yet. What I've been pulled to do and what's been actually so profound is like, for the first time in my life, I'm like truly, truly just sitting and listening inward, like listening to my internal self, my body, my connection, like all of it. And it's been bringing up so much to be healed, and things are just like transforming so quickly. and like things are manifesting so much more quickly, becoming so much more beautiful and like filled with love just through listening, not trying to do, but like really pulling yourself in and actively internally listening.
And listening, I still want to say, as an action, being in the yin,
Mm-hmm.
dissolving in the ganusa, floating within your own space. Um,
It's like that, but with ears open.
yeah, it's the Hathor, right? Her big
Mm-hmm.
old fucking ears open. Being present, there's a great power in that too. There's nothing to wait for when you're present with right now. And the other thing that I just want to remind you of is like letting the netters dissolve into you. That's been a fun practice. Hey, Horace, you want to come in? Ooh. I felt him on mushrooms come in, and he showed me like the entire field lit up as Egyptian. Cool. And even, thank you, especially on mushrooms, like there's always that point in any sacred ceremony, I should say that, where like you see your true self. And as that true self like came all the way on in my field, like I remember. Or the Mao, I was doing a lot of that. Like I remember what I am. Let me not forget again. Mao. I remember. I remember. I love you. See you in a couple weeks. Enjoy your week off. Bye, babes.